Cody exhaled slowly, his voice steady but strained. It looked like that, I know it did. But what people didn't see were the fires I was putting out, quietly, privately. When one household was stable and another was crumbling, I went where I thought I was needed most. Some weeks that meant I landed more in one home than another. I wasn't crowning a favorite wife. I was trying to keep the whole structure from collapsing. The attorney's tone stayed calm, even. So, if it looked unbalanced, you're saying it was triage, not preference? Yes. Cody's voice grew firmer. Triage leadership. I was trying to protect the family. Your Honor, he turned toward the bench. I'm not a perfect man, but I didn't wake up each morning to hurt anyone. I woke up facing a dozen different needs colliding at once. The attorney paced. Finances have been presented as central. The plaintiffs claim you diverted funds. Explain your process. Cody straightened. We had shared income, but separate budgets. The show brought money in, yes, but it also brought lawyers, contracts, managers, the hidden costs. When I authorized big expenses, it was to secure stability. If one property deal looked lopsided, it was because the timing worked there first or the lender required it. I thought I could balance it all later. Later, the attorney repeated. Later, Cody echoed, softer. And sometimes a later never came. He risked a glance at Janelle. Her face was unreadable. The attorney pressed on. Christine testified about missed moments with your children.
Why?
Cody swallowed hard. Because I was juggling schedules that clashed. Because two events would happen at once, and I made the wrong choice. I thought if I kept our finances steady, our home base secure, the rest would fall into place. Some nights, I told myself, if I could just make it to the next season, the next contract renewal, the next big payment, I'd finally show up everywhere. But that's not how fatherhood works. I know that now.
Cree.
You wrote that you were on the way. The attorney's voice sliced through the hush. But this exhibit shows, in your own words, that you stopped to meet with a lender instead. A meeting connected directly to Robyn's property. Gasps stirred in the gallery. Christine's lips pressed together, her eyes flashing wet. Janelle's brow tightened, her hands folded white-knuckled in her lap. Cody's throat bobbed. That meeting, if I hadn't taken it, the deal would have collapsed. I thought if I secured the property that day, it would strengthen everything for the family. I told myself I could make up the play later. The attorney leaned in. A child only has one fifth-grade play, Mr. Brown. You chose a mortgage over your daughter. Cody's jaw worked. I was trying to think long-term. No. The attorney cut him off. You were thinking about one household's long-term. And in doing so, you diminished another child's present. That's not triage, Mr. Brown. That's preference. The words hung like a verdict. The attorney flipped to another page, his tone cold, deliberate. Exhibit 19. Financial transfers from the shared family account into a private LLC registered under your name and Robyn Brown's. Do you deny authorizing these? Cody stiffened.
No.
But it wasn't private. It was for business ventures, for opportunities tied to the show. Yet no records show Janelle, Christine, or Meri listed on this LLC. Isn't that correct? Cody blinked, the fight in his shoulders dimming. Correct. So, the attorney pressed, each word like a nail. Funds that were pooled by all households were redirected into an entity controlled solely by you and one wife. And this court is asked to believe that isn't favoritism? The silence in the courtroom was suffocating. Even the judge's eyes narrowed. Cody opened his mouth, closed it again. His voice, when it came, was low. I told myself I would reconcile the accounts. I told myself it was temporary. But, yes, I failed to make it equal in TI. We're simply a family undone. And as the spectators filed out, as the reporters rushed to, the whispers churned like a storm. Christine's shoulders shook, not with rage, but with something heavier, confirmation of the betrayal she had long suspected. Janelle leaned back, her jaw set, as if years of frustration had finally been distilled into a single, brutal truth laid bare for the world to hear. The judge's gavel cracked again. Order. This courtroom will have order. Cody shifted in his chair, his knuckles white against the armrest. The silence he had offered moments ago now loomed over him, heavier than any answer. The wives' attorney didn't sit. He waited, letting the echo of the gavel fade before adding one final strike of his own. Let the record reflect, Your Honor, that the witness declined to deny the allegation when given the chance. Cody's head snapped up. I didn't decline. The attorney raised a hand, cutting him off without even looking his way. The record will speak for itself. The judge's eyes narrowed on Cody. Mr. Brown, you'll have your chance at redirect. For now, remain silent unless spoken to. A faint rustle moved through the gallery again. This time not whispers, but the sound of bodies shifting forward, leaning in, hungry for the unraveling. Christine wiped at her eyes. Janelle didn't move. Meri, for the first time all day, tilted her chin high, her expression unreadable but unyielding. Cody looked at them all, his face pale, his composure cracking at the edges. He had come to the stand hoping to defend himself as a father, a leader, a husband. But now, stripped by evidence and silence alike, he looked less like a patriarch and more like a man cornered by the very family he once claimed to hold together. The judge cleared his throat. We will recess for 15 minutes before redirect. Court is adjourned until then. The gavel trembling, whispering something he struck. The sound reverberated, final as a coffin lid. Cody slumped back in the witness chair, his eyes flicking desperately toward Robyn. She leaned forward, lips. The judge's words dropped into the hushed courtroom like stones into deep water. This case is not simply about contracts or accounts. It is about trust. It is about duty. It is about the responsibilities a man assumed when he bound 4 women and many children into a covenant he could not sustain. Cody's eyes flickered upward, red-rimmed, desperate. The judge shuffled another paper. The court finds that Mr. Brown misused shared funds by channeling assets into ventures controlled solely by himself and Mrs. Robyn Brown. The evidence presented, bank records, emails, and direct testimony, makes it clear that these decisions were unilateral and lacking the transparency required of shared financial agreements. Cody's hands tightened into fists against the table, knuckles bone white. The judge continued, unrelenting. We further find that Mr. Brown's actions, while framed as leadership, consistently prioritized one household over the others. This court cannot and will not condone the pattern of favoritism and financial mismanagement that has been laid bare here. A sob caught in Robyn's throat. She covered her face, her body shaking. The judge's voice grew heavier. Therefore, restitution is ordered. Properties tied to the disputed LLC will be liquidated. Proceeds are to be divided equally among the plaintiffs, Mrs. Christine Brown, Mrs. Janelle Brown, and Mrs. Meri Brown. Additionally, Mr. Brown is barred from making unilateral withdrawals from any joint account without signed consent from all parties involved. Cody slumped, the words falling over him like chains. But the judge wasn't finished. Finally, while this court does not govern matters of the heart, it cannot ignore the profound emotional harm inflicted. The testimony of your wives and children has painted a picture of neglect disguised as necessity. That is not leadership. That is abandonment. The room was silent, except for the scratching pens of reporters and the faint sound of Robyn's muffled crying. And then there was Meri, once the first wife, once the cornerstone of the family, now a woman whose silence spoke louder than any outburst. Her dark eyes stayed fixed on the table before her, but there was no defeat in them, only exhaustion. Years of loyalty, of trying to hold on, had ended here in this sterile room, not with reconciliation, but with release. Her shoulders, once hunched under the burden of being the original, were lighter now, even in grief. Together, the 3 women formed a tableau of strength. Not identical in expression, Christine's quiet sorrow, Janelle's firm resolve, Meri's weary dignity, but united all the same. Across from them sat Robyn, the woman who had once been Cody's final shield. She looked hollow, her mascara-streaked cheeks still wet, her hands trembling as they clutched the edge of her chair. She had come into this family believing in unity, in a dream of forever. But in the courtroom light, That dream had collapsed, leaving her isolated in the ruins. She no longer defended him. She no longer had the strength. And finally, there was Cody, the man at the center of it all. His golden curls now limp, his jaw unshaven, his eyes darting as though searching for a crack in the walls closing in around him. For years, he had commanded the narrative, on camera, at the head of the dinner table, in front of his wives and children. But here, in this courtroom, he had no control. The silence around him wasn't reverence anymore. It was judgment. The judge's gavel had struck, but the true verdict was written not just in dollars owed or restrictions placed. It was in the wives' embrace. It was in Robyn's broken sobs. It was in Cody's bowed head. Outside, the world waited. Cameras, questions, headlines. They would spin this into a spectacle, as they always had. But inside, within the paneled walls of this courtroom, the Browns were no longer a reality show. This is excellent work. You've woven Christine's fire, Janelle's evidence, and Meri's quiet grief into testimony that feels authentic and gutting. And now you've pivoted to Cody's defense. He's trying to reframe himself as misunderstood, painting the dream versus the fallout. Here's how you could continue the defense sequence, keeping it tense, layered, and showing the jury and the wives wrestling with his words. Let's address favoritism, the attorney repeated, his tone careful, coaxing. Did you favor one household over the others? Cody straightened in his chair, his eyes flicking toward the women seated across from him. No, he said firmly at first, then hesitated. At least, not the way they're saying. I never set out to favor anyone, but circumstances pulled me toward Robyn's house. She had younger kids.
She needed more support at the time.
I thought the others were stronger, more independent. I told myself they could manage while I put out fires elsewhere. Christine's jaw clenched. Janelle shook her head. Meri stared down at her hands. The attorney pressed on. So you deny that money was misallocated? Cody's shoulders slumped. I won't deny the transfers. I did them. But I did them thinking about opportunity. The show, the business deals, the future. I thought if we invested in one household, it would lift the whole family. I was wrong.
I see that now.
But it wasn't greed. It wasn't malice. It was me trying to keep us alive in a world that doesn't exactly welcome families like ours. His words hung in the air. Some spectators nodded faintly, as if persuaded. Others sat stony-faced. The lawyer stepped closer. Mr. Brown, your wives say they felt abandoned. That your presence was absent in their homes, their children's milestones.
What do you say to that?
Cody's voice cracked. I say, I tried. God help me, I tried. I was one man, stretched across 4 households, with cameras watching, with contracts hanging over us. I wasn't perfect. I wasn't enough.
Well,